I was like an 85-year-old man in a 32-year-old's body.
One of the most difficult things is the not knowing.
I was having this poison injected into my body.
Where do I fit in now?
That is a little bit from an amazing documentary called Wrong Way to Hope. We're going to tell you all about it. We have producer Michael Lang joining us, as well as one of the featured documentarians, cancer survivor Jen Luce. Hi, you guys. How are you?
Hello. Hi.
I guess that's not much of a title, really, is it? Cancer survivor Jen Luce.
That's okay.
Michael,
Something to be proud of, though. Yeah, well, what else would you say?
Yeah. Michael, tell us a little bit about the documentary, first of all, and sort of set up the conversation for us.
Yeah, well, I guess 3 years ago I was diagnosed with cancer. I guess that's where it all starts. And about 3 months into my treatments, I was in a pretty sort of deep, dark place, like pretty bitter and angry for what I was going through. And I realized what I was becoming, a bitter person, and that's not what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got to find a way to engage with this and sort of take this experience and turn it into something better. And that's when we came up with the idea to do this kayaking trip and
well, you're
film.
in,
yeah.
I don't know what frame of mind when you've been diagnosed with, was it Hodgkin's
lymphoma, yeah.
And when you've been diagnosed with something so serious and the word cancer is above your head, and you've never made a movie before, what made you go that route?
Well, it started with the kayaking trip, and the movie was sort of an afterthought because we talked with all the survivors who were coming, and we're like, these are amazing stories, like they need to be told to someone, especially other young adult cancer survivors, and they're so inspiring, and we're like, we got to share these somehow. And that was when we decided, well, let's film it, you know. And thank goodness we had some buddies who own a little film company, and they jumped right in and said, we'll do it.
Yeah, well, they were good. I mean, the logistics of shooting this or something. Jen, how did you actually get involved in this? I mean, what was the entry point for you to go on this trip?
Well, it was Mikey at a retreat that we were at. I think it was a survivor conference, was it at?
Yeah.
We were at. And him and his wife, Bonnie, stood out in the middle of the room and said, this is what we want to do. If any of you are interested, please see us after kind of our presentation. And I'm just like, can I do this? You know, it just sounds like an amazing experience.
I can't believe they signed up.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of it too. I mean, well, what was the motivation for you? I mean,
Why not? Why not? Just say yes. You know, like when met with, I think, a life-threatening illness such as cancer, even though I had a good prognosis, it didn't really matter. It
doesn't make chemotherapy any easier.
No, it really doesn't.
Yes.
And I guess the other thing, and the big thing and motivation for you, Mike, was you mentioned young adult. Being a young person diagnosed with cancer, it's a different world from people that are older. Maybe you can explain being in the chemotherapy room and what it was like for you and what opened your eyes.
Yeah, well, you know, you're sitting there and everyone around you is at least 30 years older than you, and you feel like you're the only young adult that's ever gotten cancer.
It must have been so isolating.
Yeah, and that's exactly how we felt, you know, very isolated. That's the number one thing that young adults deal with, is that isolation. Their friends don't know how to interact with them. All of a sudden they're put in this world where everyone's way older than them, and they think they're the only ones that have to go through this. And so being able to connect with other survivors who know exactly
Jen,
what they're going through.
Jen, was it the same world for you of isolation?
Completely.
Yeah.
I know even trying to find a support group that was something that was related to my age group was virtually impossible to find.
Can we talk a little bit about what you were diagnosed with? Because I was quite surprised. I didn't realize that.
I had ovarian cancer, and I had an endodermal sinus tumor. So generally, normal ovarian cancer, the cysts or the tumors grow on the outside of the ovary, and with mine, it grew on the inside. And it generally affects people between the ages of 13 and 29, and I was 29. So it was like kind of right at that end. Yeah.
Because I mean, you think about all these things, but the association with cancer sometimes, first of all, you don't necessarily associate it with youth, but secondly, I mean, you really don't. I guess you just don't know how to have that conversation sometimes for a lot of people as well. And you guys go through all these themes as you're going along, and it's so amazing to watch people have a conversation that I don't know that I could have with someone. What was that like for you?
It's not simple. I think a lot of my trying to find community was really sought out. Unfortunately, a lot of it wasn't handed to me. A lot of it was sought out. So I actually, thankfully, at it was an ovarian cancer support group where there were people a lot older than I was, you know, at least 30 years older than I was, if not quite a bit older.
Right.
And their whole focus was, okay, who cares about losing your hair? Who cares about the next stages of life? Let's just live and not die here. And that, to me, really threw me off and really shut me down.
Right.
Because you're in the prime of life. I mean, when you talk about taking that time out, I mean, but Mike, there was all these conversations that there was that commonality wasn't just fighting that initial war against something that's ravaging your body, but that after as well, and what happens after you've done the chemotherapy and the radiation and you're sort of past the cancer battle.
Yeah, you know that those residual, I guess, battles that you fight after you're done treatment are just as difficult as the treatment itself for a lot of young adults, you know? And I think jumping right back into where they were going before is very difficult, you know, when they don't have time to process. And that's what we did on the river, right? Is we were able to sit down in a safe environment and a cool environment, very exciting environment too.
Amazing environment.
And which helped build the community, which then allowed us to share at such a deep level.
And it opened the dialogue between all of you, and that's what we watch in the movie. But what was it like for you, because you guys had a screening yesterday, to have a Q&A and open the dialogue to a room full of other people? What was that experience like, Jen?
It was exciting, for one, and inspiring to know that there were people comfortable enough to even ask questions, because I think when it comes down to cancer, people are just, it's kind of a touchy subject. You don't want to even really approach it. And to have people who are there saying, you know, kudos to you guys for being out there and just asking questions. How do I get connected? Those main
and
questions
giving people
being
what
addressed.
you were after, what you were looking for both of you, outside of that isolation of being alone. It must be great to be giving that to other people out there.
Definitely.
Jen, can I just ask about where you guys were as well? Because, I mean, when you talk about stunning scenery, what was this like for you to walk into this place that very few people get to experience? I mean, I've never seen anything like it. The setting is crazy beautiful.
Well, Southeast Oregon on the Owyhee River, set
Middle of nowhere.
in the middle of absolutely
We're
nowhere.
looking at some footage, and you can see it's literally the middle of nowhere.
That is the middle of
That is
nowhere.
not what I associate when I think Oregon, right?
Yeah,
No.
well, you're about 120 miles from the nearest ranch when you're out there. So it's the most beautiful stars you'll ever see. It's just totally
amazing.
beautiful. And that canyon's actually the 3rd deepest in North America.
Can I also ask, after watching it, how were the bugs?
You know what? Actually,
Not
there
too bad.
weren't many at
it's
all.
the desert.
Like
Nothing lives up
But every
there,
time
so.
you and Bonnie got interviewed, there would be like,
It's because of the
When we
light.
turned on the lights, they'd all like
soon as-
swarm the lights. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
frustrating.
brushing your teeth with the lights on was interesting.
yeah, so you want everything no lights as you
Yes.
go.
Exactly.
Well, you guys, I can't say enough
Congratulations,
both about your
Bonnie.
openness
Yeah.
and the beauty of
Thank
this
you.
film. It was absolutely stunning and beautiful, and thank you both for
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
being
having
part
us.
of
And
it.
if you want to check out a screening, all you have to do is go to the website. There will be a screening March 23rd in Langley and March 26th in Victoria, but all the information is on the screen for you right now.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break, and when we come back.